Okay, today what we're doing, guys, is dividing polynomials. Now, we have looked at something kind of similar to this when we did chapter 6. But when we did chapter 6, we were mainly dividing monomials by monomials, like this. 3x to the third divided by 6x squared. Y'all remember those problems? And in those problems, what did you do with the exponents? You subtracted them. Okay, so the answer here would be x would stay on top, and what would 3 over 6 reduce to? 1 over 2. So we've done that. Today's lesson is a little bit different. What we're doing today is we are dividing a trinomial by a binomial. And it involves factoring. You've got to know how to factor to be able to do this lesson. So we're going to divide x squared plus 8x plus 12 by x plus 6. And I want you to understand there's a variety of different ways that division problems can be written. This is one of them. It can just be written out in words. I usually write it as an algebraic fraction. A fraction bar is a division bar. Now you got to know what goes on top and what goes on bottom. What's being divided is the numerator. That goes on top. So x squared plus 8x plus 12 is the numerator. What we are dividing by, that's your denominator. So this does not involve subtraction. It's not like what we did in chapter 6. This involves factoring. We want to take that numerator and factor it. And just a hint on your homework or on your questions today, what you're dividing by should always be one of your factors. And if it's not, then you probably factored wrong. Okay, so let's just factor the top. Ignore the bottom for a minute. Let's just deal with x squared plus 8x plus 12. What's the value of a in that problem? 1. Okay, so you got to do a times c, so that's invisible 1 times 12, which is 12. You got to think of all the factor pairs of 12 that add up to positive 8. We got 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. What's the winning pair going to be? 2 and 6. Okay, so finish factoring that problem if you haven't already. Alright, what did you guys get for the factors? X plus 6 times x plus 2. So I'm going to rewrite the numerator as a product of its two binomial factors. Now here comes the dividing part. Dividing always involves canceling out common factors. We're canceling out a whole binomial common factor. This x plus 6 and this x plus 6 are going to cancel out. So what's the answer to the original question? X plus 2. X plus 2 is what was left over. We factored it. X plus 6 was one of our factors, and it canceled out with the x plus 6 we were dividing by. And the other binomial factor that was left, that's our answer. That's pretty much all this lesson involves. So it's an extension of factoring. Okay, try this one. Now, I do want to show you different ways that division problems can be written. They might pull this out on you from 4th grade, long division symbol. X squared minus 10x plus 9 is being divided by x minus 1. And there is actually a way to do this. I'm not going to show you that today. We'll probably do that tomorrow or next week. I would just suggest today, rewrite that. How could I rewrite that? And I would write it as a fraction. What's the numerator? X squared minus 10x plus 9. The denominator is what you're dividing by. We're dividing by x minus 1. What are we going to do to the numerator? Factor it. Factor the numerator. So if you're given a division problem in an odd looking way, you can rewrite it as a fraction. You factor the top. Guess what one of your factors should end up being? X minus 1 should be one of your factors. If it's not for today's lesson, then you did something wrong. Today's problems should all be nice and rigged to where the denominator will be one of your factors. Okay, I got x minus 1 times x minus 9. On this one, the way the order that I put my two winning pair of factors in, I had to take out a negative 1 out of the second two. Sometimes you got to take out a 1 or a negative 1. And sometimes that causes you guys issues. Now I'm dividing that by x minus 1. So what's left? What's the answer? These cancel out. There you go. X minus 9 is my answer. Let's do one where the value of a is not a nice invisible 1. The factoring's a little bit more involved here. 3x squared minus 8x plus 4 divided by x minus 2. Sometimes they just write it as a division problem, as a fraction problem. Again, you can write it division lots of different ways. You can always rewrite it however you're most comfortable. Guess what one of the factors should be? X minus 2 is probably going to be one of our factors. If it's not, I bet we did something wrong somewhere. So we're trying to get a product of 12. Who found the right pair that would add up to negative 8? Yes, what pair? 2 and 6, and they both have to be negative. Which one did you want to write first, the 2 or the 6? Okay. Did y'all get the top factored? When you do this, it doesn't matter which one you put first. There'll always be some kind of GCF you could take out, and if there isn't, you take out a 1 or a negative 1. So yeah, this doesn't matter. You can do that either way. Your answer at the end should still be the same. Your answers might be reverse of mine, but they would still have the same two factors. Alright, when I factored this, I got x minus 2 times 3x minus 2. Is that what you guys ended up with? Questions on that? Okay, so we rewrite the numerator then as a product of its factors, x minus 2 times 3x minus 2. Sure enough, we did end up with an x minus 2 factor. And that whole x minus 2 factor is going to cancel out, and what are we left with? 3x minus 2. That's our final answer here. So basically just an extension of factoring. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 problems, 5 practice problems. 3 of them will be what we just learned, and 2 are going to be practicing calculator skills, finding roots. You do these 3 problems, please. And again, no matter how the division is written, if you're more comfortable with it like a fraction, then feel free to rewrite it. I just want you to get used to seeing all the different ways they might write this. When you're done with these 5 problems, and I'm going to give you a sheet to record your answers on, then you can start on page 194, 13 to 20, and I want you to use the calculator. We're practicing our calculator skills. That's just like the warm-up. First do these 5 problems, and then if you finish those, start page 194, 13 to 20, calculator skills.